Hi everyone, this is Daisy. 对，刚刚有一些技术性的问题，然后我希望我们现在已经解决了，对，所以我现在要来邀请那个 Masi 来加入我们。So hopefully, I'll have Masi with me, and then we can start talking about our co-teaching experiences. Yeah. Okay. So please, yeah, wait a second. 所以请大家先等待一下，对，我来邀请一下 Masi 加入，对。Masi, can you see me? Or are you watching it? Okay. 对，要请大家稍等一下。对，请大家稍等一下，对，因为yeah, we have some technical problems. 对。Okay. I'll probably have to, Masi, I'll probably have to start once again, and I'll invite you. Oh, Masi, yeah. Yeah, Masi. Yeah, we made it. Masi, can you? Yeah.
Okay.
Can you see me?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Thank you. Masi, we made it. Despite all these technical problems, we made it. We're connected. Masi,
Okay, wait, but I can hear there's like an echo, so I'm not sure if.
I think it's
lagging. I can actually.
Yeah, that's when I did the previous live streaming like this in the form of smartphones. Yeah, there would be audio delays. I think it's probably inevitable.
Okay.
But as long as you can hear me and I can hear you, then we can probably carry on. All right, 所以大家要对，先跟大家抱歉一下，就是对我真的不是一个很医化的人，所以会有这些技术性的问题哈。But now we can move on. So, hi everybody. I'm really happy to have Masi with me today. Masi is our foreign teacher. She's been with us for more than 2 years, and today I'm really happy to have Masi with me to share our co-teaching experiences and her experiences of co-teaching with other teachers. And if you have any questions, you can leave a message, and we'll try to get back to you. Either during the live streaming or afterwards. Okay, but Masi, first of all, can you please introduce yourself?
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Masi. I'm from South Africa. I've been in Taiwan for a bit over 2 years now, and it's been a challenging but also interesting experience. Yeah, I think that's about it. Oh, I'm a high school teacher. I won't say the number of years I've been teaching for in case some of the students are watching, then they'll try and calculate my age. Yeah, I think that's just like the brief. I'm from a city called Durban in South Africa. Born and
Durban.
raised there, but moved around a bit in South Africa, and then later on decided to come to Taiwan.
So one thing that you should know is that before Masi actually came to Taiwan, she's already been teaching high school students in South Africa. Of course, the students would definitely be different, but we'll talk about that. Okay, and if you have anything that you want to know, and you can ask. All right. But Masi, first of all, I would like you to maybe talk about your observation of the Taiwanese students. I would really want to know from a foreign teacher's point of view, how do you think of them? I mean, you know, when you interact with them, when you teach them, how do you feel? I mean, you know.
I would say that in the beginning, when I first came to Taiwan, the way that maybe I saw the students back then to how I see them now, and like my observations have changed a lot. And I think mainly because in the beginning, it was difficult for me to try to maybe understand the way that they think and the way that they prefer to do things, just because of the experience I have had in South Africa, both as a high school student and as a high school teacher. But over time, I think with understanding maybe the things that they prefer, the things that they like, I then started to understand why maybe they would think like a certain way, or why they would behave a certain way. For example, the one thing that I found really strange in the beginning was how silent the classes can be. And yeah, I think in the beginning, no matter what I tried to do, the students would just be silent and just observe and just listen to everything that I was doing or saying. And I found that to be really strange, because I was like, I don't know if they understand, are they interested, are they bored? Do we just like not understand each other? But over time, I think I just got to understand that that's just how some students are. And it's not because it's in my classroom, but they just like that in all classrooms. Yeah, so I would say there's like a sense of, I don't like to use the word shy, because I think after being at Navy High School for more than 2 years, I've noticed that some students are actually not shy outside of the classroom, because I see them with their friends, I see them on sports day and other school activities, and they are not shy, but it's just like maybe not wanting to be embarrassed or not wanting to speak out, because they maybe are not comfortable with being judged, and they think that everyone is going to judge every single thing that they say. So I think most of the students actually feel just a bit uncomfortable, especially having to speak in English, right? So I think that is one thing that I noticed with the Taiwanese students, that most of the time they'd rather not speak and listen in the classroom. But when given the opportunity, and if you are patient with them and just keep encouraging them, then you definitely can manage to get them to talk. And sometimes it can be a bit too much. Once they are comfortable with you, they can actually speak a bit too much.
It is true. I mean, for me as a Taiwanese teacher and as a Taiwanese student, myself, I would say that, yeah, we are quiet at the beginning. It's not that we don't want to interact with the teachers or other students, and it doesn't mean that we don't get what you say, but we tend to be not talking at the beginning. But then if you start to get to know them better, or you start to warm up to them, and you in the end, you still get the interaction that you want, but definitely not at the beginning.
Yes.
And for you, Masi, it's probably one big culture shock, I would say, as a teacher. But I would say that the students at our school are adorable. I mean, even if they're, you know, seemingly quiet, they're still listening, and they're probably trying to give you some feedback in their own terms, in their own forms. But they're great kids.
They are. I agree.
And you have been co-teaching with quite a few teachers in our school. And yeah, I would say that maybe half of them are English teachers.
Yes.
How is it different? I mean, when you co-teach with different teachers, are the, you know, the situations different?
I think for me, like the first time, or actually it wasn't the first time. I did co-teach a little bit in South Africa, but it is something that is not common. So having to work in Taiwan and having to co-teach quite a lot, it was like a completely new experience, and it did take some time getting used to, just because I think in the beginning I wasn't sure how it's supposed to work, the two teachers in the classroom, and especially one foreign teacher and one Taiwanese teacher. So I was also not sure about how the students were going to react. But I think I've been very fortunate to have like some of the, like one of the most amazing people that we have in Taiwan as my colleagues, because they've made my life so easy. I think the one thing that, just like the basis that I think every person who co-teaches should have, is communication, right? And I think without communication in the beginning, before you even decide on what is it that you're going to teach, I think when you just have like just a conversation, you can tell if, okay, maybe I'll be able to work with this person or not. And I would say that most of the teachers that I've actually had the opportunity to work with, I had spoken to them prior to being co-teachers, and maybe just like the sense of, okay, this is the type of person I am, and so on. And after that, we then like usually sit down and plan, what is it that we're going to teach? How do you prefer teaching certain things? And I think that plays a big role in co-teaching, understanding that we've all had different educational backgrounds. We come from different countries, speak different languages. So I think sometimes when we both, like the both parties involved, understand those differences, it makes the co-teaching experience a lot easier, because maybe sometimes I will do or say things that a Taiwanese teacher would normally not do. And I think for me, I've been fortunate in the sense that the teachers that I've taught with, they don't just, if maybe it's something that they really want to find out, like, oh, why do you do this like a certain way? They won't make me feel like I've done something wrong. I think the one thing they'll first try to understand, like, oh, how do you do this in South Africa? Oh, okay. Maybe in Taiwan, it would actually be a bit better if you did it this way with the students because of 1, 2, and 3. And I think when both parties are willing to learn and unlearn certain things, then it definitely makes coaching a lot easier. I would say that with the English teachers, just because we can just have a conversation and it just flows, it does make the planning and the teaching as well much easier. Sometimes with other teachers that are non-English teachers, it is a bit challenging, but not so much. I think maybe sometimes we can be a bit lost in translation, especially when we're communicating using line, and I have to maybe Google translate certain messages. Sometimes there is maybe like some confusion, but we always just like make sure that at the end everyone's on the same page. And yeah, I think that is very important, just like that open communication, and no one goes behind anyone's back. If there's anything that maybe someone doesn't like or doesn't understand, we always communicate about it, and just make sure that with the students as well, they don't feel that tension between teachers, because I think students can tell when teachers don't get along as well in the classroom. So yeah, and also just having the students as the number one priority as well has helped a lot, because I think sometimes even when we have like our differences, maybe, oh, I think maybe we should teach this like a certain way, or in a certain way, at the end we'll try and figure out, okay, what is best for the students. And then yes.
So I think it's so there are a few things that we should really keep in mind. So first of all, yeah, it should be student centered. So everything that we do, or everything that we try to do, should be student centered, student oriented. And because we are different, like me and Masi, we have cultural differences, and even if I'm co-teaching with other teachers from our school, there are still differences. So frequent communication and discussion would be necessary and would be beneficial. And even if we're playing the roles of teachers, we should be ready to learn from the other person. Yeah, that's probably what we should be keeping in mind, because I know that some of the teachers who are watching, they're probably interested in co-teaching with foreign teachers in the future. Then these would be some tips that they can keep in mind, yeah, when they actually co-teach with the foreign teachers. And Masi, because you've been teaching in our school for almost 3 years now, are there unforgettable moments, unforgettable classroom scenes that you want to share?
Yes, both positive and negative, but majority have been positive. I think maybe like just like the one negative experience that I remember was having a student cry in class. And
Because of you?
yes, because I asked her to speak up,
And then
and
she cried?
she didn't want to speak up, and I was like, it's okay, just like try, just like a few sentences. And she really did not want to say anything, so eventually she just broke down and cried. And I just had no idea what to do, because I was like, oh, I didn't think I'd actually experienced this in high school.
Yeah,
but
if I saw if I saw a student burst out crying like right in front of me, I would probably freak out as well. I mean, that's definitely unexpected. Definitely not something that we expect in a normal classroom, teaching setting. Oh,
especially in senior high school.
oh, and one of the teachers, she's a chemistry teacher. So she would like to know from Masi, your point of view, what is the most difficult part or a really challenging thing when you co-teach with teachers who are probably not that good at communicating with you in English?
In English, I will say again, like when maybe we are planning for classes, I think it does take a lot more time, because you find that with maybe the English teachers, then will be like, okay, this is what we're doing. Focus on maybe just getting the students to speak more in English, and you can talk to them about any topic or anything, or maybe sometimes just using the school magazines that we have. So that becomes a lot easier. But when it comes to co-teaching with non-English teachers, when we have maybe like the semester plan, usually we will have like some discussions, and then the other teachers will have maybe, okay, this is what maybe, let's say environmental issues, for example, but everything will be written in Chinese. So I'll usually have to wait for quite some time before I can get like an English translated version of what is it that we're actually going to do. Because sometimes I'll just see my name next to certain things that we need to do during the semester, but have no idea what it is that I have to do. So I think like just that part of getting information across from one teacher to another, sometimes it does take a bit of time, which can be a bit of a challenge. And I think in the classroom sometimes when we are co-teaching, and if maybe I will of course speak in English, and then the other teacher takes over and then they continue in Chinese, I sometimes have no idea what is going on. So I think that is also a bit of a challenge. But what I notice is that what usually helps with that is that if we discuss, okay, this is what I'm going to teach and this is what I'll be saying to students, it doesn't have to be in details. But if I have like an idea that, okay, this is the part that the other teacher is going to cover, then that does take away the problem. But sometimes we just don't have enough time to actually sit down and discuss the different things that both teachers are going to be teaching. So when we walk into the classroom, and there's usually maybe, and because I can't just sit down maybe the entire hour or 2 hours, I have to actually help students with certain things. But sometimes I don't know. I then have to ask the students, okay, what is it that we are doing today? And then they have to try and translate and explain everything to me. So that does become a bit of a challenge sometimes. But other than that, I think everything is okay as long as both parties involved communicate and understand the different teaching methods. And also maybe if you do have, I think having discussions before class and also reflections after the class help a lot, because I think if we just continue every week and the other teacher is not comfortable with the way that maybe the other teacher teaches, at the end, they'll just be like that negative work environment where we don't communicate. I think it is very important to not be afraid to actually ask why like a certain person is doing things like a certain way, because you only just trying to understand, or maybe you have some suggestions of how we should do things in a better way. So,
Let me do some
okay.
translation. Yeah.
Okay.
对，要跟那个黑莉老师说，对，就是如果像黑莉老师教的是化学，然后也有兴趣想要跟像 Masi 这样子外师合作的话，就是Masi 刚刚的心得是说，他觉得比较需要注意的事情是，可能要跟他好好的讨论，因为Masi 并不是那么的懂中文，所以老师如果用的是比较偏中文为主的材料的话，最理想的是可以帮他找到英文对应版的。这样他就可以去了解。那如果没有的话，可能就要麻烦老师花点心思，就是把那个本来的中文的那个材料，然后跟那个 Masi 讲一下，那个大概在讲什么东西。对，他觉得这个可能是一个比较需要注意的地方，而且他说有的时候如果没有办法好好沟通的话，有的事情会 lost in translation， 就是会。在那个中翻英英翻中的过程中，然后可能就疏忽掉了，所以这个可能是非英文老师要跟外师进行协同教学的时候可能要注意的事情。然后刚刚 Masi 也有说，因为有的时候如果是跟非英文老师一起教学的话，比如说 Masi 的部分当然是英文，可是那个老师如果又接手回去教的时候，他可能就全部都是用中文了。虽然对我们来说这样好像很理所当然，可是 Masi 就会开始变成状况外。所以 Masi 意思说，如果希望 Masi 也可以be on the same page， 就是他也可以知道老师们在干嘛的话，就是可能要请老师在上课前或者是上课中，就是可能要跟他稍微讲一下说，你用中文教的部分大概是什么东西，这样子 Masi 就比较不会有状况外的感觉，那你们就可以教学比较同步一点，比较和谐一点。但他说除了这样子之外，就是可能需要帮他多翻译一点之外，其实他觉得是没有什么太困难的，或者是太麻烦的地方，对，所以其实是很欢迎非英文科的老师都可以来跟外师一起协同教学。And Masi, you talked about, I mean, before we answer this question, we talked about how one girl burst out crying when you asked her a question. So that would be a negative memory, right? But you have many more positive memories,
I have
right?
many more positive memories, and I would say the list is just endless. From the first, I remember my very first day at the school. At that time, there were also students from Denmark. The Denmark students usually come to our school,
Yeah,
and just for me, but then I think on that day, majority of our students actually thought I was also a student from Denmark. And then, like weeks after then, when they saw me in school, they were now confused. They're like, why didn't I leave? But yeah, just like from that first day, just to see how welcoming the students were, and just like how some of them, even though they were getting a bit nervous with speaking to us as foreigners, but they tried. So that for me was like one of like the most memorable memories. And actually, one of the girls that was part of the group that was controlling the games that they had to play graduated this year, and she sent me pictures we took on that day, which I had never seen. So for me, that was like just really nice to see that she still has those pictures. And I would say that also just getting to know the students, the different students, because I don't want to lie. Before I started teaching in Taiwan, I didn't think I would actually be able to have like a good relationship with the students, just because I'm a foreigner, they are Taiwanese, different backgrounds, and maybe they'll just see me as just like a teacher. They just say to teach and then go home and leave and do my own things. But before I knew it, I actually got to know quite a lot of students, and some of them I call them like my little sisters, my little brothers, like my friends, my students. So that for me has been one of the most amazing memories, just to be able to build those relationships and those bonds with the students, because I think just beyond being a teacher, you should also be able, you don't have to be too friendly with the students, but if you can build some sort of relationship so that they are not afraid to come and speak to you when something is going on, if they don't understand something in the classroom as well, they are able to just like speak to you. And yeah, so I think that does help a lot. And just to also see like the different school culture, sports day, which is completely different to how we had sports day in South Africa. So that has been like one of the most amazing memories, especially the one we had with class 206. I got to wear
Yeah.
full uniform. That was definitely one of the most memorable experiences. And again, that day, a lot of the parents thought I was an exchange student at the school. And I think just like how I think in Taiwan, Chinese people love their snacks and their food. So just like randomly getting like snacks, like something to drink and like food just like during the
We
day. So
love
that
food. Yeah, we're food people.
so that again has been like an amazing memory because I think I've actually tried a lot of the different food that I normally wouldn't have gone out of my way to buy. But in schools, people just be like, "Oh, Master, like we're having tohua today, for example. Here, have some." So yeah, so that has been like a really amazing memory as well. And just like with being the different classes in the school and just also getting to see that actually some classes can be crazy, wild, and loud, which is something I never thought I'd actually experience in Taiwan. So that for me, some people can view it as a negative experience, but I view it as a positive experience because I just got to see like a different side and just these different personalities. And having to, I think last semester, in the first semester of the school year, I taught a class that mostly had boys, which is something completely new to me. So just having those experiences, yeah, and just like just having lunch or dinner with colleagues. So yeah, that has also been really amazing experiences. Yeah.
But I think that's because Masi, you're a very open-minded person, and you're also very warm. So you care a lot about bonding, you know, with the students and other teachers, and you talk about how you want to build a relationship, you know, with the students and the teachers. I think it's a great concept. I mean, some teachers might not be aware of it or might not be aware of the importance of it, but I think that's definitely something that we should work on. And if we really want to have good interaction with the students, to have a good classroom atmosphere, then bonding and relationship building, it's definitely something that we should be doing. We should definitely spare some efforts and time to, you know, that's a good investment.
Yeah, it is
As a
definitely.
teacher.
Yeah.
Oh, Masi, we're coming to the end of our live streaming, but I do have one question to ask you. I mean, I asked you this question on the day of the graduation during our classroom Google Meet, right?
Yes,
I asked you how you feel about, you know, now you get to compare traditional classroom teaching and online teaching, and you talked about how you were pretty excited at the beginning, but then, yeah, can you share that experience with the teachers?
Okay. Yeah, again, in the beginning, I think that goal, maybe for some teachers, of course, you are nervous because worried about having to use technology and all of those things. But I think as a young person, I was just like, I'll be able to figure it out. I'll be okay with the technology. So I was really excited to just work from home because it's something that most of us have never done before. So we think it's just going to be like this amazing experience where you wake up, you're working from your home, you can just go to the kitchen and like make yourself a cup of tea, get water at any time. But after 2 or 3 days, it wasn't what I thought it would be. Because I then started feeling that the students as well, I do want to say that the first 2 days, they're also just excited to just, you know, learn from home, be at home. But after the first couple of days, when I'd ask them like, oh, hi guys, how are you? Most of the answers were bored, tired, hungry, sleepy. So the answers went from being, oh, I'm doing amazing, I'm great, I'm okay, how are you? To just all the negative answers that you do not want to hear before starting a 2 hours class. And some of the classes I was with the students for 3 hours. So you can imagine how we all must have felt. So yeah, it was very, very, very challenging because most of us are used to the traditional classroom where you get to see the student, you can see who's not doing the work, who's doing the work. You can sometimes,
Mm,
as a teacher, you can even tell when students don't understand what you're saying.
mm,
So then you can either repeat
yeah,
or try to simplify what it is
yeah,
that you're trying to get across. But
yeah.
now you sitting at home, maybe you have your camera on, but majority of the students won't
Mm,
turn on the cameras. So you're not sure who's actually listening, who's not listening. And just beyond that, you don't know if is it even like working? Is it worth it? Because you just it now it becomes a lecture. And I think most of us we are teachers and not lecturers. And when it becomes a
mm,
lecture, you're just talking to yourself and
mm,
just to also getting the students to participate and just like speak. And that became a lot more difficult, especially for me because students have to speak to me and to each other in English. But now they cannot communicate with each other because we are in a Google Classroom setting,
yeah.
and some of the students wouldn't even want to talk to me,
Oh,
and even when I try to be like, it's okay, like we can't see you, just like you can just be comfortable and say anything. They were just most of the time just not in the mood for that, especially to what early in the morning and towards the end of the day, no one had energy. During the day, it was okay. But yeah, my 8 a.m. classes were very challenging to teach. And I think that also just like took away a lot from both the students and the teachers because I think now there was just that gap where no one knew how to fill the gap in between getting information across and asking questions because some students maybe if the microphone is not working when they're using their cell phones they cannot type a question and ask you or they
mm,
cannot turn on their microphone and ask you a question,
yeah.
so it's like they will sit in the classroom for an hour or more but have no idea what it is that you are talking about and also have
Mm,
no way to immediately ask you what is it that you're talking about. So when they ask you maybe like an hour later after you're done with class, but then you have other classes as well, and then you only see their message with the question towards the end of the day. And for me, I think not being able to get that feedback and not being able to have that immediate communication was very challenging for the students and for myself as well.
yeah, and some teachers are talking about losing students, uh, for the past few weeks because you can't really get to them. Like, yeah, even if you know that something's probably going on, you can't really reach out to them like immediately.
Mm,
So that's definitely one worrying part about online learning and
mm,
teaching. And I was talking
mm,
to a girl yesterday, and she told me that online learning is actually much more exhausting than traditional classroom learning because, like, for her, if the Wi-Fi internet connection is weak, then she might not be able to like follow the classes that smoothly, which is definitely not, is something that she doesn't have to worry about if she's learning in
mm.
traditional classrooms. So I think
True, true.
what she told me is probably what most students around the island are thinking. They probably really want to go back to school, to even if it means that they have to commute, get up
Mm.
early, and have to put on uniforms. I think most students around the island definitely want to go back to school.
Go back to
Uh,
school, yes.
yeah, I
And
think
I
teachers.
do think that the one thing that maybe most students were happy about was not waking up early in the morning to go to school. But
Yeah.
yeah, like as you're saying that now they're even willing to get up at 6 a.m. because I think they just miss being around their classmates as well and being around their
Mm,
friends because when we have these online classes, there's no way that they can actually communicate with
mm,
their friends or their classmates. It's mostly just like we can see each other or maybe we can just send messages, but that's not, I think for like teenagers they need that
mm.
in-person interaction with each
Yeah.
other. Yeah.
And teenagers are social animals. So
Yes.
if they're not allowed to like face to face interaction, it's definitely a painful experience. They
Yeah.
would definitely feel
Yeah.
isolated, not being able to hang out and chit chat and
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
snacks. Yeah. But Masi,
So
thank you so
it was
much for
very challenging. Thank Thank you so much, Daisy.
Masi, thank you so much. Despite the technical problems at the beginning, I think we have a really good time conversing. And I have to say that I as a teacher of Lady High School, on behalf of myself, other teachers, and other students, I really appreciate you for everything you've done for our school. Although we canceled the graduation ceremony and we couldn't go on that graduation trip, but still, I wish you well, and I look forward to seeing you again in person, hopefully in September.
Thank you so much, Daisy. Yeah, always, every time when I speak to my former colleagues in South Africa and family and friends, I think, especially in the beginning, they were worried about me. And over time, when I tell them, like, oh, yeah, this is what happened, and this is what the student said today, this is what the student did. And then everyone just realized that, oh, she's fine. She's happy where she is. There's no need to worry. And I think I owe all of that to just the Naily High School family, because I mean, of course, there are days where I wish I'd just be like, oh my God, I wish I could go to South Africa, just miss being around like my friends. But most of the time I don't feel lonely or just feel alone, just because if it's not with the colleagues, I can always talk to the students, and it doesn't have to be about anything serious. We could just talk about, oh yeah, so this and this happened yesterday, or maybe they'll just like tell me some random fact about themselves just walking outside, which is always just interesting. So I think I've been very fortunate to just have everyone that I have around me at work. So it is definitely like a very happy working environment for me. So yeah, thank you so much to, if other teachers
Thank
are
you,
listening
Masi.
as well. Thank you.
I had a great time today. Okay,
Thank
and
you,
hopefully we'll see
Daisy.
each other soon.
Okay, thank you, Daisy.
Okay,
Keep well. Take care.
you too. Bye
All
for
right, bye.
now.
Bye.